I don't have formal training, but I've at least read the critical scholarship on it. And that particular passage where Paul is talking about that is really just about attaining salvation. And it is nothing about like equality for women or anything like that. It's only about whether or not or who can obtain salvation. And Paul is just communicating through that passage. Who can, and it's everybody can attain salvation as long as you bow down and suck Jesus dick. But let's get back to like the actual nativity thing.
Why does this type of language exist in our culture? Bow down and suck a D. It's clear that the atheist John has reached into his spice drawer for some deliberately offensive language. While the English language is not a top-tier language known for the quality of its insults, there are some reliable staples that uncreative people reach for. The more convenient fast food type of insult often relies on sexual ingredients, especially with homosexual notes. Combined with slave/master connotations, this can provide a quick dopamine hit, and a sense of momentum in the dialogue, the sense that victory is near. Using these ingredients, let's see if the Christian Adam knows how to whip up an insult which he can feed back to John.
Can I ask one real quick question? Just before we continue that part of the discussion, or okay. Really it's more of a favor. I feel and believe, and if I'm wrong, then let me know, but I feel and believe I've been extremely respectful, and I'm trying to do the best job to represent my beliefs, my worldview from the Christian perspective, politely, and I feel like there's a little bit of hostility coming from your side, kind of just throwing caution to the wind and bashing Jesus every opportunity that you're given. And I would like to respectfully ask that we just have a civil conversation. And if I'm crossing the line, or if you feel like I'm not being polite, then let me know.
Poor Adam. It's like he's never heard of the spice cabinet. There's a very simple Venn diagram that combines sexuality, homosexuality, slavery, and degradation. Instead of building a proper mud pie, he seems to want to focus on the topic at hand. The verse in question, Galatians 3:28, seems to be about justification by faith. That just as one body of moral laws was applied to all people equally, in the same way one faith can be exercised alike by all people equally. Jews, Greeks, slaves, free, males, females. But there is an unwritten rule for anyone who watches debates on the internet. The winner of the debate is never formally declared. Instead, the audience needs to make careful note of which side started cooking up insults first. Here we see that John has reflexively unwittingly imported sucking a D to the conversation. Watch as he now tries to recover.
No, I think that you're being polite, but you have to understand that I don't know if you're from the South, but like this is not impolite like where I'm from. Like I get that you're very offended by the fact that I described pleasuring Jesus in a very intimate way, but I kind of feel like, to me, that's what it is.
John is suddenly aware that combining homosexual connotations with degradation left a disturbing aftertaste. So now he tries to cover his disaster with the language of relational intimacy.
Because, ultimately, you're just self-serving Jesus at this point.
Unfortunately, John's flight reflexes take over again. He once again sends a powerful signal to the audience that his ship has already taken on too much water and is sinking fast.
But I do want to get back to the whole rape part. Is it okay if we talk about how God raped the fuck out of Mary?
Well, that's the debate, my friends. John has once again imported derogatory language because his other efforts have failed. But there is another question that remains to be answered. On one hand, we must admire atheists for their ability to bravely deconstruct faith and culture, in order to find what is most true about humanity and society. They often emerge as powerful agents for the cause of human dignity and equality. If they emerge from their deconstruction efforts but still maintain a conviction that sucking a D is highly undignified, then we must earnestly ask that John's close friends consider an intervention on his behalf. Was he recently in an abusive relationship? Is there unaddressed trauma now manifesting in verbal tics that revolve around sucking a D? Only a qualified psychiatrist should attempt to navigate this territory. Hopefully John will one day reacquire his ability to read without importing outside trauma to the subject matter.